The moment a writer puts a speedster on screen, they've signed a contract between storytelling and power levels. He's faster than anyone he'll ever fight, meaning he should win every battle before the other guy raises a fist. Every generation of superhero filmmaking has come up with a new way to fix that problem and creates a new one while doing it. But hidden in there are two films that already solved the whole thing. So let's go over each generation of speedsters, what problems they solved, which ones they created, and how to solve all of them at once. We have to go far, far back in time. The on-screen speedster started with cartoons as far as I'm aware. So yes, we're skipping the first speedster, Jay Garrick from 1940, because he's just a comic. Roadrunner possibly was the first one on screen. Speedy Gonzalez followed. The first problem they encountered here was the visual one. How do you show that a character is fast? Well, they did it with smoke clouds shaped like the character, speed lines streaking behind. They got away with it because cartoons didn't need to be consistent. There was no plot hole because there was no plot, I guess. People would chill back then. And we're gonna skip ahead a bit here because we want to get to those sweet modern times really quickly, and your attention span is terrible. Jump 29 years to 1978, where live action tried. The first Superman movie had young Clark outrunning a train across the Kansas plains. The crew hung an actor from a crane on wires and dragged him alongside the locomotive. This was the first attempt to make speed feel like a power, and it created the first problem. A guy running fast here looks like, well, he looks like he shit his pants, and that's why he's running. The Superman sequels reused the same setup across 3 more films, and nobody figured out a better answer. And there didn't need to be one. At the time, it looked impressive. Looking back on it, it's goofy. Then in 1990, CBS gave Super Speed a real shot. John Wesley Shipp as the Flash. First full speedster series on television, I think. They pioneered the format, if that's the case. Every speedster show since has used a version of it. They also pioneered a hole that would never get patched. 24 years later, the CW Flash would make those exact mistakes for 9 seasons. We'll get back on which holes and mistakes later, because they have been solved. Just not the next one that did Super Speed in 1994, which was The Mask. They had Jim Carrey blurring around in a tornado effect, disguising super speed as pure comedy. And comedy doesn't need consistency, so that's how they solved the plot hole problem. After that, live action mostly stopped trying for a bit, until a movie that wasn't even about a speedster rewrote the rules for everyone. That movie was The Matrix. Neo dodging bullets on a rooftop in slow motion while the camera orbited him. It was just a guy who could see things coming fast enough to dodge them. But this changed everything for the speedsters. From now on, when a film wanted to show that someone could see the world faster than everyone else, he would slow everything down on screen so the audience could see it too. Bullets crawl. The fast guy walks around them. The Matrix solved the question of how to show super speed on screen without resorting to the crane of Superman or the tornado of The Mask. It created the problem that would haunt every speedster film for the next 25 years. Because if you slow the world down to show how your speedster is fast, the audience can now see how fast he is. He sees everything coming. He can move around any punch, and every time a writer needs him to lose, the audience can see the cheat happening. In 2001, the One, yes, Jet Li, borrowed the same slow motion trick. Jet Li played a superpowered villain who hunted other versions of himself across the multiverse. He could see everything coming. The audience watched bullets crawl past him. The trick worked. In 2002, Sam Raimi did the same thing in Spider-Man. Peter Parker had just discovered his powers. Flash catches up to him in the school hallway and tries to punch him. The punch slows down. Peter calmly dodges it. The film calls it Spider Sense. I call it the Peter Tingle, as does many of you. The visual trick is identical to super speed. The audience reads it the same way. So, does Spider-Man have super speed? You fight over it in the comments. I think absolutely, positively, maybe. By now, the audience knew the rule. If the screen slows down, the character can move and see fast. If the character can move that quickly, he should win every fight. Wow, Logic Logan, you've repeated that at least 3 times already. Get better at writing, loser. Continuing another 2 years. In 2004, Smallville added Bart Allen, a young speedster who could outrun even Clark Kent, meaning there was still a plot hole problem created in 1990. Did I even explain that? Anyways, it's a speedster so fast he theoretically shouldn't be able to lose. Now the count is at least 4. Booyah! So, how did they solve that here? Well, the show solved the problem by only using him every now and then. He'd appear in some episodes at a time, definitely not all of them. The show never had to explain why he didn't just fix every problem forever. They created nothing because they never let him stick around. Heroes in 2006 went a different direction with Hiro Nakamura. His power was stopping time completely. If you can stop time, you don't have to make slow motion math work. The world just freezes. They solved the speedster problem by inventing a new power. And right in the middle of all this, there was a movie that solved every problem. You all know which one, probably. Can you guess it? Place your bets in the comments or this poll on screen if I could somehow get that to work. Good, googly moogly, technology is insane. We'll come back to it later because first Hollywood was about to take that slow motion trick and use it in the most famous speedster scene of the decade, breaking their own character with it. You know, the Pentagon scene, blah, 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 blah. And then they're like, whoa, and then like Magneto. And speaking of Magneto was locked up in a maximum security cell underneath the Pentagon. The X-Men need to get him out because of reasons. And because of other reasons, they bring along a teenage Quicksilver, played by Evan Peters, to do the job. They escape into a kitchen, the guards surround them with assault rifles, and the guards open fire because, yeah. And the scene slows down. The bullets freeze in mid-air. Water droplets hang suspended. Knives and frying pans float across the room. Quicksilver runs along the wall, tastes the soup, steals the guard's hat. You know the deal. The scene is funny and beautiful. The audience leaves theater talking about it for years. And it broke Quicksilver as a character forever. But why, you might be asking? Well, that scene made some things clear. Quicksilver can perceive time so slow that bullets stop. He can redirect them with one finger. He can move so precisely that he can taste soup and reposition 4 different bodies in the space of a single bullet's flight. He should never lose a fight again, ever. What does Days of Future Past do with him after that? Almost nothing. He's not in the team for the cinematic showdown. He goes home, probably watching TV, binging Logic Logan. No, just kidding. No one does that. Except you, because you're a really cool person, and I love you. X-Men Apocalypse brings him back 2 years later. Oh, that's great. He gets a new, similar slow-motion scene saving people from an exploding mansion. The film cranks that visual up to make it bigger. Then his leg gets snapped by Apocalypse, and he sits out the rest of the movie. That sucks. This was the moment the problem became impossible to hide. The Pentagon scene solved the question of how to make a speedster look cinematic. It never managed to answer the question underneath. If your speedster can do this, why does he ever stop doing it? In 2015, Marvel had the same problem. Aaron Taylor Johnson played their version of Quicksilver in Avengers Age of Ultron. Same powers as the X-Men version, he sees the world in slow motion. The film gave him a few showcase moments. He runs around the Avengers while they fight him. He dodges arrows in slow motion. And then, in the final battle, Ultron hijacks one of the Avengers' Quinjets and starts firing its Gatling guns at civilians. Hawkeye spots a young Sokovian boy in the line of fire. He scoops the kid up and tries to shield him. Quicksilver runs in, gets between Hawkeye and the incoming bullets, and takes them. He dies on his feet and says,
You didn't see that coming.
Wait. What? He's a speedster. He sees bullets coming. Good God. He could grab Hawkeye and the kid and run them out of the entire city before the Quinjets finished pulling the trigger. The film has him stand in front of the bullets and take the back shots? The writers couldn't keep him in the story without breaking the story, so they killed him. 1 year later, Fox did the same thing with their Quicksilver in X-Men Apocalypse. He gets one more big showcase early in the film, evacuating an exploding mansion in slow motion. Then in the final battle, he attacks Apocalypse directly. That's stupid. He throws punches at super speed for what looks like minutes in real time. Apocalypse adapts, because of course he does. He transmutes the ground around one of Quicksilver's legs and traps him in place. Then catches his next punch and snaps one of his legs. Quicksilver gets benched for a while because of it. 2 studios used the same fix 1 year apart. Marvel killed theirs, Fox broke theirs. This era solved the problem of the cinematic fight. Speedsters couldn't be in them, so writers removed them before they got there. It created a much bigger problem. The audience can now see the pattern. Every speedster who shows up either dies or gets removed before the final fight. But while the movies were getting rid of their speedsters, there was a show on TV doing the opposite. Keep the speedster, just have him lose every week for 9 years. And okay, this one goes back just a little, so we're no longer on a chronological timeline. Boo-hoo. It's not like this channel should be about logic. Oh, wait. In 2014, CW launched The Flash. Grant Gustin played Barry Allen, a forensic scientist who gets hit by lightning and becomes the fastest man alive. The show ran for 9 seasons and 184 episodes. It ended in May 2023. The problem was every single one of those episodes ran into the same speed wall as before. The Flash sees the world in slow motion. So how did the villains ever win a fight? Look at episode 4. It's called Going Rogue. Wentworth Miller shows up as Leonard Snart, a regular career criminal with no power. Zero, zippo, zilch. He gets his hand on a cold gun or something built by Barry's friend Cisco. The whole point of the freeze gun is that it could slow down the Flash. The audience is told this directly. A man who sees bullets crawl beaten by a guy with a slower gun. The slow gun. Yeah. This is episode 4 of 9 seasons. The show hasn't even started yet and the cheat is already on display, and it only gets worse. When the writers needed a fight that actually made sense, they could only write one kind, speedster against speedster. Each of the first 3 seasons gave Barry another speedster as the main villain. Reverse Flash, then Zoom, then Savitar, 3 years in a row. The only coherent fight fights on the show were against another guy who also sees the world in slow-mo. By season 4, the showrunner went on record saying they couldn't keep doing speedster villains forever, which is true. They also admitted their problem. The show could only write the fight when it was symmetrical. The moment Barry fought anyone slower than him, the audience watched him stand still and lose for 0 reasons. Well, at least they fixed the disappearing speedster problem the movies had. They kept their speedster on screen for 184 episodes. They just couldn't solve the problem of losing to the people whose cheeks you should be clapping. And, well, the audience didn't forget, but the show just doesn't care. They're making entertainment. The next show tried to be honest about it, at least. In 2019, Amazon premiered The Boys. The opening scene of episode 1 is one of the most famous cold opens on television. No, it's not. I just completely made that up. Huey Campbell is standing on the sidewalk smooching a little with his girlfriend Robin. An A-train runs through her. Just run in a train? Okay, I'm sorry. A-Train is a speedster, high on a drug called Compound V. He hits her at full speed and goes straight through her body. What's left of Robin is a shapeless mass of meat on the pavement. Huey is still holding her hands. Her arms have been ripped out of her body. He's covered in her blood. A-Train stops, looks at the kill, says he can't stop repeatedly, and runs away. Well, that's new. A speedster moving at full speed and hitting a person at random would erase them. The show was promising honesty about what a speedster actually is. Not the version we had before where they could grab and save someone. Thinking of that, with this logic in mind, if Quicksilver grabbed Hawkeye and the kid, they would have been dead as well. But no show really follows logic. Only logic Logan does. Sometimes. When he wants to, which isn't today. Fuck. 2 years later, Invincible did the same thing A-Train did, but animated. The ending of the first episode kills off the show's Justice League equivalent. Among them is Red Rush, a speedster who sees the world in permanent slow motion. When Omni-Man turns on the team, Red Rush is the only one with a real chance, I guess. The world freezes around him, he punches Omni-Man's chest so fast that the friction burns Omni-Man's uniform away, or just rips, I don't know. But Omni-Man also has super speed or something to that effect, so he grabs him by the head and crushes his skull. The scene plays in Red Rush's slow motion. The audience watches him punch a chest that won't give while his eyes pop out of its socket. He keeps punching. Both shows had promised honesty about what speed actually is, and then both shows backed away from it. A-Train, in later episodes, gets caught off guard by people who can't move at his speed. Like, how does he not see this sequence coming? The opening was a very honest scene about A-Train's speed, but the rest didn't honor it. Red Rush just dies, and Invincible never wrote another character with just his power again. I mean, those Viltrumites all get a combination of super speed and other stuff, if I'm not mistaken, but none of them get it individually. Both shows are trying to solve the lying problem the CW Flash had made bigger than ever. They wanted to show what would actually happen if a man could move that fast. But the minute the shows needed their speedster to keep losing the rest of the season, they slipped right back into the old pattern. Even the honest shows were lying, just slower than the others. So then they just stopped trying, I guess. In 2021, Marvel introduced Makkari in Eternals, the deaf speedster played by Lauren Ridloff. She runs around, delivers exposition, and fights Icarus in a sequence where she moves so fast she's already where she's going before he could shoot at her. The visual is striking. But I don't think the power got the real spotlight it deserves. That same year, WandaVision pulled the trick a different way. Evan Peters returned to play Pietro. Big surprise reveal, except he isn't actually Pietro. He's a random guy named Ralph Boner. Ha! That Agatha Harkins is mind controlling. The character has no powers that matter to the plot. Putting a speedster on screen was just kind of a joke, I guess? These films are trying to solve the writing problem from a different direction. If a speedster on screen always breaks the story, don't write what is a speedster. Use the visual without the rules. The new problem they created was small but real. The speedster doesn't even get to be a character anymore. They just exist to have a speedster on screen? I don't know! Hollywood was running out of ways to dodge this, so they decided to do one more big swing in 2023. After a decade of delays, DC released The Flash, the first standalone speedster film. It cost over $200 million. The premise is the speedster's dream. Barry can run so fast he can travel back in time. He uses this to save his mother from being murdered when he was a child. By the time the film ends, he's been to alternate universes, met like 4 Batmans, and recruited an alternate Supergirl. Anything is possible for this character. His power literally erases the past. So why does anything bad happen? Why does the alternate Supergirl die in the final fight against Zod? Why does the alternate Batman die in the same fight? Barry can rewind time itself. He should be able to save both of them. The answer the film gives is that some deaths can't be undone. Oh my god, that is stupid. And some things are meant to happen, and that is equally as stupid. But that's the same dodge the CW ran for 9 years. The speedster has more power than the plot can accommodate. So the writer invents a rule that takes the power away when the writer needs it gone. The Flash is trying to solve solve the lying problem at full scale. A 2-hour movie with the budget to do anything. They could have built any story around what a speedster could actually do. The new problem they created was that the film fell into every old trap with a bigger price tag. The audience had seen this fail for 30 years. This time it failed for over $200 million. Yet, it has already been solved. Wait, what? 2 films in the last 25 years had figured it out, and they did it without any of the cheats. How? Back to the kid I promised you in the Matrix era. In 2004, while Hollywood was failing for the first time to figure out how to write a speedster in live action, Pixar handed in the answer. The Incredibles. A family of superheroes hiding in the suburbs. The middle child is named Dash. He's 10 years old and he has super speed. The film treats him completely differently from every speedster live action would touch in the next 20 years. Dash doesn't see the world in slow motion. He doesn't have super reaction time. He just runs fast. Faster than any person, not faster than physics. That one decision solves the entire problem. When Dash gets chased by goons on Syndrome's island, the chase is actually a chase. He runs through a jungle, outrunning the bad guys for a bit, but they have flying vehicles called velocipods that can match his pace. Then he discovers he can run on water like he's Jesus. The audience sees the moment he realizes it, he grins, then sprints across the surface of the lagoon. The velocipods catch up and open fire. Dash goes into a cave, and when they have him cornered from both sides, he slips beneath the surface, and the velocipods crash into each other. This works because Dash can lose. Dash has a real top speed, and the film respects it. The bad guys can match him in flying machines. He has to think. He has to use the environment. The same scene with X-Men's Quicksilver would have lasted 40 seconds and ended with the audience asking why the bad guys even tried. The same scene with the CW Flash would have ended with Dash standing still while a guy with a slower gun beat him. But Dash gets caught in a real chase, runs from real threats, and escapes by being clever. The film never has to lie about why he might lose, because at no point did the film claim he couldn't. Pixar, of all people, solved the problem nobody even was acknowledging existed yet. They did it by being honest about the character's power from the first second the audience saw it. The new problem they created was that no other writer copied the approach. For years, Pixar held the only working solution, and everyone else kept trying to write god-tier speedsters who needed to lose. There was one other working solution, which was the opposite of Dash. In 2010, DreamWorks released Megamind. Brad Pitt voiced the city's perfect hero, Metro Man. The full Superman power set, including super speed, you guessed it. The film opens with him humiliating Megamind in their 1000th fight. The film never tries to make their fight fair. Metro Man wins because Metro Man wins. He's a god. The film commits to it. Then something different happens. Metro Man gets bored, he fakes his own death and walks away from the hero job entirely. He goes out to become a musician or something. The film doesn't have him lose to Megamind. It doesn't snap his leg or take him off the board. He retires because winning every fight forever turned out to be boring. Look at the difference. Every other speedster on this list lost a fight they shouldn't have lost. Metro Man chose to leave. The story was built around his power level being real, and the film never had to lie about why he failed because he never failed. Megamind was trying to solve the speedster problem from the other direction. Pixar said make them weaker. Megamind said make them stronger and write the story around it. Both approaches work. Both films are honest. Ugh, well, that was one pain in the ass to write. I've literally been having this one on and off again for a month and still have no idea if this was coherent enough to actually upload, but well. It's going into the illogical Logan Takes folder. The history of super speed on screen is the history of writers trying not to write super speed honestly, which almost none of them really figured out. But what they did figure out well enough is the power of super strength. Don't know what I'm talking about? Click here to find out.